Yay! And we're live.
Welcome to episode 228.
Oh, I like your reference to checking
Crippled System Live.
Checking what the number actually says on the stream instead of just randomly deciding derp.
You know the show's name, technically, I mean, I think they changed it like in the late 80s because people kept doing it wrong, but the show's name was just Saturday Night.
Yeah.
It just was live.
Yeah.
And they'd say, welcome to Saturday Night, live.
Yeah.
But then people decided that was the name of the show, so they stuck with it. Those people are stupid and wrong.
Yeah. Back when it was called Saturday Night, it had probably the best cast. I mean, there's been a lot of good casts, but I still say pretty much the original cast of SN has been the best.
The original cast is obviously one of the best casts. I mean, but then it's hard to argue with the second golden age with Phil Hartman and Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, and that was a solid decade.
There's no John Belushi though.
Right. For a second, I was thinking of the fact that Jim Belushi was on Saturday Night Live, and God took the wrong Belushi.
I'll admit it. I had a little mini panic when you paused for a second because I'm like, fuck, did I just mention the wrong Belushi?
One of us was thinking of the wrong Belushi. My name is Nathan, and I play Minions.
My name is Andy, and I play Kid or Badly.
I'm Dan, and I'm having faction crisis again.
Are you seriously?
Yes.
Why? How's that?
You did well with your Legion yesterday, didn't you?
We'll get to that.
Oh. I don't really play Kid or that badly. I came close to my first game in probably over a year almost, beating an amazing Signar opponent down in Milwaukee. Almost. Came within, I got her down to 2 health.
And like you said, if a little different positioning, you would have been able to finish her off. You just blocked the charge of your last model.
I cock-blocked my own model.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
You were playing Convergence?
No.
Oh, okay. Get it?
Yeah. Nah.
Acronyms?
What? Zephany?
What?
What's going on?
I don't know. You guys went to the announcements. There was an event yesterday at the Milwaukee's?
The Franklin store over in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you two want to talk about it?
This is the episode where
I wasn't there, so I have nothing to add to the conversation.
I know, but at this point, I'm better off just continuing to act tired so I control you.
Okay, that sounds fine. Fine in my book.
The sad part is we posted a podcast for the Guild Ball stuff over on the Guild Ball supporters group, and one of the people there had mentioned, it was like, wow, you guys are really full of energy, you guys have great dichotomy, you work really well with each other. And I was like, wow, I wish our podcast was like that.
We're energetic.
Woo! I had a nap today. Yeah, I did. It was awesome. This is my favorite. I love naps. Naps are the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wait. That's my wife.
Oh, your wife is watching this?
Yes.
Oh, so we can't talk about things then. Yes, go ahead.
I can't think of things we can't talk about.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, I don't recall us getting hookers and blow immediately before the podcast.
Gosh.
I just said I didn't recall it.
That's why we're 10 minutes late.
Andy doesn't understand plausible deniability, does he?
No.
I don't recall getting hookers and blow before the podcast. Andy.
Am I supposed to salivate?
Oh, my God. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to Crippled System, episode 228.
Travis says I sound muffled and weird. True story.
Well, the audio is up.
Well, that's fine and dandy.
Well, maybe you should have let me steal your mic.
Then what? Oh.
I should double check something. So we have announcements coming up. We have Adepticon on the weekend of March 24th.
Also, isn't there like a March 3rd event in Pegasus?
There is a March
It is a
3rd event.
Plain old standard steamrollers, as Rick called it.
Dan is running an event, or not Dan, excuse me. Rick is running an event with no weird special rules.
That is correct.
That's a very un-Rick thing to do.
Scratch until like about 2 days before the event when something gets added.
Yeah. I've decided the models that are painted cost 1 point less. Those 10-man units get really good.
That's probably an issue. I just noticed our audio going out is really loud.
Okay.
So
Now it should be less.
Nathan wasn't muffled, he was just compressed.
Yeah, he was probably just maxing out all the systems.
Yeah, Darnan set our levels a little hot.
Yeah.
Either that or he's playing like a fire stage in a video game while watching us and was sharing information about that. Remember, if you go to Chill Penguin first, it'll freeze all the lava on the Mammoth stage, and then you can get that hard extension. Mega Man X.
I don't like Mega Man X.
I'm a classic Mega Man guy, but any Mega Man is good Mega Man.
We're just
So
absolutely full of energy here.
Yep.
I will solo this thing if you guys don't want to
that's
talk.
fine.
That's
That's
fucking
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
We won't talk about your stupid event. We'll talk about Rick's stupid event. We'll talk about your stupid naps. We'll talk about the hookers and blow. God.
we can talk about the event. So Andy and I went to an event.
With Jake
Yep. Jake
and
drove.
David
Yep.
and Davis
And Nick.
and Nick. Did we go with him or did he come alone?
He drove by himself because he had to pick up some bookshelves or something like that.
Okay.
So
So I'll start off first because Dan's probably got a better record than I do. Maybe 1 and 3.
2 and 2.
All right. Yep. Dan's got a better record than me. So I took on Zach Watson, an amazing player down in Milwaukee. He was playing Maddox. I basically played Old Witch 2 all day because I haven't played in an actual event. I haven't played at least 2017 Steamroller ever because I like scoring. That was completely new to me of how you not the points over scoring, but I didn't know about it's all or nothing scoring for units. And you just get 10 if you kill the caster. You don't get battle group anymore.
It's hilarious watching, like, at ATC, people report events and they'd have 0 kill points after they killed, like, 50, 60 models just because they'd leave 1 or 2 members of a unit alive.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It almost seems similar to back to Warmachine Mark 1, where, you had VP points on all of your models, if you remember that.
Yep. Back at that in Mark 1, yeah. Yeah, and you'd VP snipe. You'd just kill a random trooper and then run away.
Yep. But, I basically sold Old Witch 2 all day. Old Witch 2 with Reinhold, Conquest, Fenris, 2 Colden Lords, Forge Seer Lord, whatever the big guy is, and then 4 units of Doom Reavers. And Travis is trying to post the standings in our chat, and unfortunately I don't allow links. Because they're terrible cats, so I don't like them.
What?
No.
What about the Atari handheld system?
No.
Wow.
That system was horrible. It's like the Turbo Express. It just literally ate batteries. You put it inside of it and we're like, yes, done.
The Lynx took like 47 AA batteries per hour.
Yeah. And remember
they were belt fed. You just had to put they just shot through while you were playing.
Yeah. Oh, like a 50 cal?
Yeah. Just your little brother sitting there next to you feeding the belt of batteries.
But yeah, my first round, I had some bad positioning. That I almost killed Deathmatics, which was pretty cool. Surprisingly enough, I expected to clock myself out with trying to move models so they're protected by Old Witch's mini feat every single turn, which is Windstorm with Vexing Alignment, so 18 inches of -5 range of shooting.
Sure.
But yeah, I really expected to clock myself out. That game I was kind of close, but I was on my assassination run when I was getting low on time.
Fun trivia, either Dan's wife is having a stroke or his son is now in chat.
Oh.
That's my son.
Or she's now having a very coherent stroke where she's lying about it being your son.
No, that's his typing pattern.
Okay, good to know. Good to know that you can recognize his gibberish.
So the second round, I took on Kanan, which was a fun battle. It was Kador versus Kador. He ended up taking flag 3. It was... I didn't have to worry about clocking myself because unfortunately he clocked himself in that match. It was not good. My third round, I took on...
I fixed my pig.
Yep. Who... Oh, man, I forgot the name. Who's the Crix player that had the Kraken that was painted up with the pink?
Dustin.
Dustin, yes. I took on Dustin. I came down where he had a lot of feeded things. He had some really insane dice rolls. The Kraken basically eliminated with one explosion, one kill shot, killed off, like, I want to say 8 Doom Reavers. Just off that pie plate, because he just rolled bonkers on all the damage rolls.
And the Doom Reavers just like killed something? That's why they were clustered together? Or
they were clustered together because they were further back a little bit. I accidentally put a couple in range for him to get up there and shoot. But yeah, that was my bad. But anyway, it turned out where he ended up putting up Scar right next to his objective.
Good job.
And I had Old Witch to go, and I could have cursed the Shadows, his Satixis that were kind of streaming kind of in front of her, and I did not because I fucked it that whole turn up and failed my assassination run. On Scar. Yeah.
Oh, don't do that again.
Yeah, because if I wasn't able to curse the Shadows on them, they couldn't free strike me. I could have sent at least 2 Doom Reavers into Scar herself, and I could have sent a Doom Reaver at the Satixis captain who was keeping Scar standing up. Which that would have sealed the deal, because then I would have been able to hit her. She would have been blinded, knocked down. With a Conquest who still had -5 to his attack rolls, could have still killed her.
Sure, well, yeah, because with her blinded, that basically... Well, actually, the knockdown, yeah.
Yeah.
Words and talk.
And then my final round, I ended up taking on Local David, which brought out his Harkovich list.
I'm sure it's a really well-balanced, fun list to play against.
Yeah, it was... it's Harkovich, and David likes to play those style lists, and it was...
mixed like a healthy balance of infantry and solos and jacks.
So you could take out the solos, because I think he only had one model that was a solo in the list. Nope. No, yeah, he had one solo, which was just the Widowmaker Marksman is all he had as a solo. And then he had a unit, Valachev, with Ayana and Holt.
Aggie!
Yeah.
I just flicked off Aggie.
Yeah.
That's Canadian for hello.
Yeah. So... having never faced that list before, I basically fed into it, which was bad. I now know in my own mind how I would be able to deal with this in the future, and I wouldn't mind trying it out again. But, it's just a matter of he walks forward 4 of his Kodiaks. They all drop down 4-inch clouds and then walk behind him. And, he's got a huge line of clouds. And I should have just avoided him and just let him take the center of the field and swarm Doom Reavers on the sides.
Sure.
And then
just run them.
Yep. And then he would have been like, I can't make clouds all the way around my entire army.
Right. Because then, are those damaging clouds? No. It hurts when he puts them up.
Yep.
Because it's vent steam, right?
Correct.
So it hurts when he puts them up, but then they're just normal clouds.
They're just normal clouds.
Yeah.
It basically all it does really is prevent me from charging him.
Well, sure.
Which
like you said, once you flank around, if he has to open it up, he can't protect all those gaps. And as long as you can see any edge, you can just charge straight through those clouds.
Correct.
Well, and you had the advantage of playing one of the slower scenarios on him, too, so that would have worked well.
Yeah, in a super live scenario, you can't afford to do that, but in something that's a little slower to score, like Dan was saying.
It wasn't Spread the Net. It was...
barbell. I don't remember what it's actually.
Whatever the barbell ones, the 2 12-inch...
Actually, the one without flags.
Yes. So, now I know. My countercharge list might have been okay with that, too. But he had pretty much the exact same list, but with Butcher, I think.
I don't remember what his second list was.
Yeah, I don't remember what his second list was. But it was Harkovich and something. But it was basically both Legion of Steel, so it would have been countercharge, and it probably would not have been fun.
Lots of weird clock management shenanigans.
Yeah. But overall, I was I only won one game. It was because my opponent clocked himself, but I felt like I had two really good chances to win the games.
Sure.
And I learned a lot in my first game back in a long time. I haven't played. I know I haven't played in a tournament game since Lock and Load when that was released. I was saying I haven't played in a year, but
Exaggeration.
that may be an exaggeration.
But not by much.
Not by much, because I know I played once down on Peg, and I was playing that same list against a Scorn player, and I wandered Old Witch too far forward, and she got killed by derp turtles. It's probably not the proper name for them, but that's what they are. They're derp turtles.
And how did you do, Daniel?
So I went 2-2. I was playing Abby 2 and Lilith 3. So round 1, I played into what was his name? I think David Wood, who was playing Kogrima. I dropped Abby 2. That game was interesting because neither of us noticed it at the time he did it, but turn 2 he moved Kogrima up close enough that Proteus could trample up to her and start hitting her.
No.
Which
Well, Proteus has got the 4-inch reach, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And pull still?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, which I did, but I ended up not. So I did that on my feet turn, but I didn't kill her. I brought her down to like 2 boxes.
Why would he have to trample instead of charge? Did she put up some...
She was on the other side of a forest.
Ah, that makes sense.
So,
Which is probably why he felt safe.
correct.
Yeah.
But because the assassination run didn't work, I then was left with, instead of the original plan, which was Proteus move up into her feet cloud wall and drag Mulg into charge range of another Carnivian. So then, as a result, I ended up trading very non-favorably with my beasts.
Sure.
But at the end, I was able to hold on long enough and survive an assassination run, which was great because I had to actually transfer to a beast pack, which is never a great feeling.
Oh, just watching them go pop, pop, pop.
Well, at that point, you're basically playing. When you transfer to at least the Blight Wasp pack, you're just playing with Warmachine power up at that point.
Right, yeah,
Is
5
I
less
spend a
damage.
Fury for 5 less damage.
And a wasp explodes.
Yes.
In an unrelated effort.
So when you transfer to the pack, can you only transfer to one? So let's say if you get...
They're each
normally
beast.
5?
They're each an
beast.
individual beast.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I said, it's
Oh.
literally just playing with Warmachine power field
Okay.
rules at that point. But I survived, and then at that point, Kogrima just got charged by Abby, and that was that. Round 2, I lived every Legion player's dream. I played into a Grimkin Bump in the Night list with Abby 2. So I had 2 Blight Wasps each eat almost a whole unit of Dreadrots of Hollow-Men by themselves. And by the end of the game, I think Brian only had 3 models left on the table.
Rude.
Yeah. So it was one of those things going into it. I had never played the Grimkin mashup of Abby 2, and I kept hearing everyone say how awful it was for Grimkin. And I'm like, okay, theoretically, now I see it, and it is awful for
Why is
Grimkin.
that?
Abby's skill is she can make beasts hit really hard, really accurately, and really fast,
Right.
and which takes away a lot of Grimkin's tricks.
Sure.
So, like, for instance, round 2, Brian popped the Labyrinth Arcana on me, but he had to stay so far back to keep his caster alive that only 2 models were affected by it.
Sure. Because you can kind of out-threat those bubbles that his Arcana put up.
Yeah. But it still was one of those things where that was the right choice for him to do. Otherwise, I would have had a full beast pack that would have been able to run and munch to King of Nothing and just kill him.
Fair enough.
So... but then round 3, I had the opposite occur to me. I drew Francois from Chicago, who was playing Nemo 3.
That's not good for, beast packs.
No. So I dropped Lilith, and I feel I played a very, very good game. I won't say it's a perfect game, but a really good game from my part. And I still lost. Just Nemo 3 is very, very rough on Legion. Just because when many of Legion lists are built around defense skews,
Sure.
and boosted POW 12 Electro Leaps ignore all of that.
Yep.
And it was one of those things, like I said, I played a very good list, a very good game with a kind of specialized list to deal with stuff like that, whereas this was Francois' first game with Nemo 3.
Oh, so okay. a little bit inexperienced.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, he killboxed himself hiding Nemo from Lilith, when instead all he needed to do was cast Magnetic Hold and put 2 Fireflies in front of Nemo, and I could not have got to him either.
Sure. Did you tell him that later?
I don't remember if I did or not. We talked about the game somewhat, because he was afraid of the matchup more than I felt he should have been, just because... And I was even a little crabby at the beginning, because I was not happy about what I was having to play into.
Sure.
But even then, he did kill me with an assassination run, but it took every shot he had, and he took me down to the box. So, had one die roll been one less, I would have easily won that game on scenario, but only because he killboxed me. Otherwise, it would have just been a one-turn longer
So it
game.
sounds like if he was as comfortable with
the list
he was running as you were with his, it probably would have been really bad for you.
It would have been terrible.
Yeah. And to answer chat, Andy is making a hoof.
Oh, yeah. So if you saw Nathan's Facebook post recently, he got some Valkyries, and unfortunately one of the Valkyries has got a no hoof.
Yeah. I have not got many bad models from Privateer in years and years and years and years of their models, hundreds of models, and I got 2 in this last shipment. She's missing a hoof, and then one of my Boil Masters, they're kind of up like this, and they have the axe. The axe wasn't attached, like, from head to hand. And one of the skulls on the axe was, like, it's a full skull, but the half of it was missing, so it's just like a bowl, basically, because those skulls are hollow, and so since it's missing,
it's probably a bubble.
But whatever, and it just looks like. But I think once I paint it, it'll just look like a broken skull. So I'm okay with that guy, because I got the axe head to. It was a clean break.
Yeah.
Although because it's hollow between the two, so I think there was an air bubble there that's why it broke.
Yep.
But I got it to glue together, and so then it'll be fine. Little Miss Hoofless though has a bigger issue.
Yeah, I can modify that skull. Do a little sculpting.
I was thinking about, because I have green stuff too, and since it's just a circle, I was just gonna
etch out the sides.
Yeah.
Of it, and that way it looks like truly a broken skull.
Right, exactly. I'll just jag it up a little bit so it's not as smooth, and it'll just, like you said, just be a broken skull.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then final round I played against Drew, who was one of the guys who came down from Marinette. And he just was one listing Scar 1, and I dropped Abby 2, and probably should have dropped Lilith just to have more range presence, but he had a Wraith Engine, and I didn't have any magical weapons in the Lilith list.
That's probably really good for you, then.
Yeah, it wouldn't. Like I said, I think the correct answer should have been just ignore the Wraith Engine and
just kill everything else, sure.
Yep. Instead, I dropped Abby 2, I killed the Wraith Engine, and then I got 2 feeded on Dark Guidance Stalkers onto my caster.
Does it still alternate incorporeal?
No.
Now it just is incorporeal with the standard rules. As long as it doesn't attack, it's just...
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Because in Mark II, it did alternate, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So, like I said, I think that one was just that was a matter of I should have spent less worry about the Wraith Engine and just worried about killing the 4 Stalkers and the 4 Shrikes instead, and I would have been in a better spot. So,
because eventually his Wraith Engine would have to do something, and at that point, it's no longer protected, and you can crack that nut.
Yeah.
Whoa, what? Oh.
Yeah, because the Lilith list was Azrael, 2 Bolt Throwers, and a Protector, and then 2 units of Raptors. So I can shoot from a long, long ways off, and eventually he has to commit, and then I can just charge it with 4 or 5 Weapon Masters and kill it.
Right, exactly. Yep, you kill all the other stuff so that the Wraith Engine is obligated to start doing things, and then it dies.
Correct. And once again, that was on a slower scenario, so I could afford to take that kind of time.
Sure.
So,
because that was round 4, so it was
the
same, the barbell scenario.
Yep.
Also, keeping track of rounds is definitely not something I normally do for tournaments.
Yeah,
I guess that's a new reporting thing that they've been trying to keep track of.
Yeah, Pagani asked Rick to put that into PG Swiss just so they had a little more data on how valuable Turn 7 was.
Sure. Yeah, it just...
Unfortunately, we had a PG Swiss crash halfway through the event, so round 2, everyone played a 4-round game. Because Matt and I had to re-enter every round for round 2. So it was like, well, everything is just 4 rounds.
Well, what a coincidence. Crazy random happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
I did not play yesterday at a Warmachine event.
No, but it looked like you still had lots of fun doing mindless, monotonous work.
I was murdered 15 times.
Murdered?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I was murdered 15 times because we did the Shays and I did another one of the murder mystery parties. And they and I, mostly Katie and I, Jeremy helped, bless his soul, designed a Clue-themed murder mystery party. And it's part of what we built in like a logic puzzle, and you got a clue for the logic puzzle each time you killed either Yvette Wadsworth or Mr. Body, and I was Mr. Body, and so I got murdered 15 times in the course of 2 hours. It's good times.
Exciting.
It was exciting.
I wasn't invited.
You were at a Warmachine event.
But you didn't know that.
Fair enough.
You also punched out TI4 yesterday.
I did. And sleeved 457 cards, which was very, very annoying because...
That's a weird number of cards.
You sure you didn't lose 3 of them?
No. Well, okay,
Or gain 7?
part of that is that there's 17 factions, and so there's, but whatever. The big annoying thing was the fact that meant that when I bought card sleeves, I only used 7 sleeves from that last set of 50 sleeves, so I had 43 left. I think they might be the right size for another game that I got, that I kickstarted. I got the expansion to Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, and the Clue cards on that I think are the same size, so I might be able to repurpose those sleeves. If not, I'll just burn them in Rage. Those are the only 2 options to do with leftover card sleeves.
Oh, I figured just, hold them hostage for when Brian's desperate.
Brian has like a whole closet full of sleeves, so it's
Yeah,
not
why didn't you just go raid Brian's sleeves?
Because I don't know. I didn't think of doing that. I got the game, and I'm like, I need sleeves. And I looked on the back of it. I said, here it shows a picture of the yellow Fantasy Flight sleeves, and then there's a 10 in it. Does that mean that it's a number 10 sleeve? And they're like, no, that's the number 1. That means you need 10 of them. And then I cried for a while. And I bought 10 packs of sleeves. Actually, the sleeving went relatively quickly. Just watched some cross-country skiing while I did it. Women's biathlon. And women's the 4-leg relay, which America got fucking tanked at. Oh, my God. It was terrible. And it was all on the first leg. She was a minute behind the leaders after the first of the 4 legs. And we finished 57 minutes back. Or not 57 seconds back. And so, yeah. The other 3 people actually gained 3 seconds on the leader. It was all just her. Probably tired or sick or something.
I didn't watch any of the Olympics this year. I've been failing.
Still, I think it goes through the... Oh, today is the 18th. I was going to say, I think it goes through the 18th. But once curling was over, that was the one I mostly care about. Curling and then biathlon, because biathlon's awesome. Skiing plus guns equals fun.
So, are we done talking about our Warmachine stuff?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. I'm playing a practical joke on my coworker.
Okay.
So every year she goes on to a large vacation. She goes over back to where she lives, or formerly was from, is Fiji. So she's gone for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. Every year I have done something to her cube.
Sure, of course, you have to.
Like you do.
Like you do. One of the first years I packed everything into a box, and everything in the boxes was still plugged in and usable. So I chopped out a little hole in the back of the box, put out the cord to the computer. I even got a small little box for the mouse.
Sure.
I packaged all the monitors. We got a big box to put her chair inside.
So if you had done those with somehow semi-translucent boxes, it would have been the Dune shield just on all of her cubicle equipment.
Correct. But she's finally got to, and 1 year I didn't do actually anything to her cube, but I took a picture of an empty cube with her chair in it. She was not happy about that. So this year... Oh,
and you sent her that picture.
I sent her that picture, yeah.
No, a good prank would be to just do nothing to her cube, and every once in a while just be like, so did you find it yet?
Oh, yeah.
Is it moving around again?
Yeah, the old no joke.
Sure. This year, she has made it adamant that I should not do anything to her cube.
So you contract out to your other coworkers?
Nope. And she because I actually had other people do things to her cube too before in other years. And she said that I cannot do anything to her cube, and I cannot get other people to do anything to her cube as well.
And something about HR being involved.
It hasn't gone that far yet. So this year, she made it clear that I cannot do anything to her cube. Nobody else can do anything to her cube, because then she will not give me Cheds.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a hell of a trade-off.
Because she's going to Fiji in Australia. They're available in that area. So Cheds, the amazing crackers from there, just cheddar-infused crackers. They're so good. She said I wouldn't get any Cheds if I do anything to her cube.
They're just Cheez-Its.
They're not Cheez-Its.
They're just Cheez-Its.
They're not Cheez-Its. I will break this Pharaoh Valkyrie.
You'll break the leg again.
I'll break the leg again. But, so this year, I decided to go one step even further. We're a two-person team. So if one of us is gone, all the workload goes to one person.
Sure.
So this year, I cleaned up my cube.
Okay.
So when she shows up on Monday, there's currently a note on her monitor from my supervisor, who's in on it, saying, "Come see me." And right next to her is my cube, which is empty. My nameplate pulled off. If you've ever seen my cube is just filled with toys, and all, it's basically what you see.
It looks lived in.
It looks lived in. Now it is completely empty. Everything is out of it except for like my computer and other random things. So she's gonna come in, see a note from my supervisor saying, "Come see her," and my empty cube. That's going to make her panic just a little.
You should go for the extra verisimilitude and just actually quit your job.
No. No, I'm not going to go that far.
Yes.
I'll have to make sure I have a job first beforehand. Somebody hire me.
Well, if you make sure you get fired from your job, you can get unemployment. Remember, kids, never quit. Make them fire you.
There's some people who can still, it depends on the position or the place that you're at. I mean, if you quit, some places won't actually deny that unemployment.
Some might not, but most will.
Many will.
Many will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had signed at work for one of the members of my team hit his qualification for early retirement on Tuesday. So he was making all sorts of jokes for our manager and stuff about it because he's got 6 kids. So
sure.
He's like, it'll still be 14 years before I can actually retire. But now I can be even more outspoken because I can just leave.
Right. Dirty trick I've seen managers do is if there's somebody that they're going to fire, like they'll sit them down and they'll say, "Hey, I just want to let you know, it's not working out. Like we're gonna let you go, but if you don't want that black mark on your work history, we'll give you a chance to quit."
To quit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, that's fucking dirty.
That is dirty as shit. They just talk them into quitting. Yeah.
But yeah, so my goal is tomorrow, because this is happening tomorrow morning.
Record.
And I'm going to contact her and say, "What time are you showing up tomorrow? Because we got some changes that need to be done." And that's because part of our workload, we do some changes to systems and that. So I'm sending that text to her before she shows up at work, so she's gonna. It's gonna be a multi-definition of when she sees coming in this morning. We have changes to be made.
You can text, just be like, "Hey, just want to let you know it's been a lot of fun working with you."
I wouldn't want to do that because she would panic like no one's business. That's why I haven't sent anything to her at all beforehand. Because
Andy's greatest fear: this will work too well, and she'll be like, "I'm out too."
She quits. Yeah, that would probably be the bad thing. But yeah, I'm thinking about showing up early tomorrow and setting up a camera in my cube that's facing her cube because we're just kind of like right across from each other. And then sending a text to my supervisor, letting her know when she's going to be in, and then my supervisor is going to text me when they're in the meeting, and I'm going to just show up and sit in my cube.
Okay.
So when they come out of, so it's not going to be very long because I don't want it to be very long because, like I said, she'll.
The best thing would be if she saw the note and didn't notice your cubicle. And so she's just like, sees another goes, and they're like, "Hey, just kidding." She's like, "What?" Then she goes back, and you're just sitting there, just like, "Hi, Andy," and then she just goes about with her day.
If you saw what my cube was before, you cannot not notice.
Sure.
You'll walk up to it, you'll be like, whoa, what the hell just happened? I mean, like, I had Voltron in there. I had, like, every single instance of Darth Vader in there. I had Eddie. I had Kane from the WWE in there.
So you're saying there's no dust space?
There's dust space as well, too.
Which Eddie?
Eddie
From Iron Maiden or
Maiden,
Ed and Eddie?
Yeah. No, not Ed, Eddie. I had the Todd McFarlane.
But picture Eddie in Ed, and Eddie.
You just killed him.
No, I'm picturing the other way. I'm picturing Eddie on... like from Ed and Eddie being on the Iron Maiden covers.
No, you could just have Ed, and Eddie.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Ed, Eddie, and Eddie.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
But Aggie, you're in the chat. Make this happen.
And she said hi nerds and then never said anything afterwards.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Whatever.
But yeah, so like I said, I don't want to draw it out, but I think it'd be awesome. Almost everybody at my workplace agrees with me that this is an amazing prank.
Because then you're not messing with her cubicle.
Yep. Didn't mess with it, but
so
I'm going to
HR
mess with
doesn't
her
have to get
mind.
involved.
I didn't do anything.
All I did was clean.
All I did was clean my cube and collude with my supervisor to set up a fake meeting.
Collude nothing.
Well, so my department at work, one of the things we own is the automated email program. So for all our other stuff to be able to send emails through our system, we have almost had several people get fired for faking emails from high-level management and stuff like that. Or
Sure.
We had somebody do that.
We're directly responsible for several company policies and IT rules.
So
did you like the movie?
So
That doesn't sound like she liked the movie.
She did not have flattering things to say about you that night.
Women rarely do.
So you're talking about emails and issues. We had somebody at our workplace that had a little funny bone. He decided to play like a little practical joke, except for he sent it to the wrong people.
Yeah, that's what happened with us too.
Yeah, so he had just copied over the supervisor's signature, put it on his email, and then sent it out to random people.
Sure.
Saying, like, oh, I'd like to announce so and so is no longer with the company. and then had to scroll down and it had like a giant April Fool's type thing. Except for there's one gal in the company that was very emotional and did not take that well and did not scroll down. She was on a phone call with a customer and somebody had to actually take over the call because she was that distraught.
Wow.
Yeah. The guy's no longer with the company.
Yeah, don't use
but not because of that reason, but yeah,
don't use the emailers for pranks.
Yeah,
they don't
especially masquerading as a supervisor. Mm-hmm. Some people, it's really bad.
One of my Facebook memories, like last week or so, was from 2 or 3 Shea murder mystery parties ago, where to get into my character, I was a tinfoil wearing, jet fuels don't melt steel beams conspiracy theorist character, and I texted one of the other characters about how they have cameras in your fillings and the government's watching everything you do and people know what you're onto, blah 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 blah.
But why would you put cameras in your fillings?
Whatever. The point is, it is what it is. So I sent all this big long text. This
just like I see the inside of this guy's mouth the entire time.
My character's an idiot. What do you want? The point is, I sent it to a wrong number. So I just had this massive rant about the government spying on you through your fillings and stuff, and I sent this like paragraph long thing, and then it just came back, who is this?
New phone, who this?
Not even about just, who is this? And it was the wrong number.
At that point, you just got to be like, the government's watching, prank caller. Yeah. Be woke.
Oh,
wah wah. So we should ask members of the chat, Kylara 509 specifically, what their favorite things about David Lynch's Dune, the motion picture are. Dino De Laurentiis presents a David Lynch film, Dune, screenplay by David Lynch.
Does he still admit he directed this one?
Screenplay. Well, it's a David Lynch film.
Correct.
Oh yeah, directed by David Lynch. Down at the end.
I think the director's cut he actually disavowed.
Yeah, it's a Guy Smithy one.
Yeah.
Or Alan Smithy rather.
Yep. Which, it's bad when you disavow your own director's cut.
There is just for the extra meta level of it, there is a movie that was supposed to be like a fourth wall breaking kind of meta commentary called an Alan Smithy film, and it's about the Hollywood process and everything like that. And it's such a bad movie itself that, ironically or appropriately enough, it is an Alan Smithy film.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched Dune in a very long time, so...
It's such a weird viewing for me because my hatred of David Lynch and my love of Dune clash so much.
It is an experience. It is not necessarily a good experience, but it is an experience that has to be repeated every so often.
David Lynch is probably the only writer/director who the insanity of Dune reigned in. Right? He wanted to be weirder than psychic priestesses and giant sandworms and teleportating starships. And they're like, no, we need to keep it more grounded.
Ecology in the 50s.
Yes.
So anybody who's not on the chat, for our audio podcast, there is talks of milking cats.
Because everybody knows if you duct tape a rat to a cat, you can milk that cat for antidote to poison. That's how it works. Also, everyone has heart plugs for some reason. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they, Dan?
I don't know.
Also, weaponized megaphones.
Yeah.
Which, that was only in there because David Lynch couldn't think of a way to show the weirding ways.
Yeah.
Right? So slow motion priestess kung fu apparently was just slow motion priestess dance kung fu, right?
Yeah.
Like it's easy to describe in a book, but in a film it would look stupid, but there's probably better solutions than weaponized megaphones.
Well, and also in '84 probably doing like a, super choreographed martial arts fight scene was not as well received of an idea either.
Yeah, because it was, wire fu, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style wasn't.
Yeah, that was 20 years in the future. Nowadays, if you made a Dune film, you could do that stuff easily.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Make a new Dune movie, Hollywood.
They're working.
Make a new Dune anything.
Someone has the rights and is working on it.
Yeah, so they claim. Someone was working on redoing System Shock. Crippled System is a killing word. Such a... Oh, we had a Zappy grumble about this previously, so I won't go into it more. But it's such a ripe universe for board games and video games and movies and comics and TVs and everything.
All from one book.
One book. I'll admit a trilogy.
I won't.
How was
that even just the original? Because the original trilogy ends right when it gets batshit. Like, if you end there, you're like, wow, this is getting weird. I'm glad it's over.
One book.
That's fine. I'll accept the one book. Like I said, it's one great book, one acceptable trilogy, and one insane series.
So, how was the sci-fi version show of it?
It tried.
Many
of the things were better, but that one suffered because of lack of budget more than anything. But it was much better than the David Lynch movie just because it was 6 hours long.
It reminded me a lot of, and I think they both came out around the same time, there was a made-for-TV miniseries of The Shining as well. And they both were correctly describable as much more true to the book, but less artistically interesting.
Okay.
Like, David Lynch's Dune is batshit insane and only has a tangential relationship to the book, and The Shining is by Kubrick is batshit insane and just barely has a tangential relationship to the book. And so these miniseries are much more true, and for some people that's important, right? Like, some people, like Stephen King, hate Kubrick's version of The Shining, and so they'll like that, but they're sterile almost. They feel bland. They feel like, here we are, and we're checking all these boxes, and because we're long, we can check all these boxes. And look, we did everything that's in the book. Aren't we great? And you're like,
it's the Watchmen debate all over again.
Yeah.
Where the difference, though, is Watchmen had the budget to make it look just like the movie, which I think the book, which I think actually some people don't like because it does almost the uncanny valley effect.
Sure.
Where it's, oh, look, this is page 45, the exact same scene, the exact same penis.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll say, like
I really like The Watchmen.
I think the Watchmen film is, I would say it's the best Watchmen film you could make.
Correct.
Like, I don't think I would have for a long time said that was an unfilmable book, and that film is shockingly good.
Yeah.
They could have picked 2 different actors for it because the Night Owl was
and so Silk
Spectre. They were passable, but they were very cardboard in their delivery as compared to Rorschach, which was amazing. Ozymandias was really good.
I mean, Night Owl, though, you could almost get away with cardboard, though, because he was supposed to be
Mr. Bland.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen him in a lot of other things. I mean, like, he's amazing in Fargo. Like, if you watch Fargo, I think season 2 with him in it is really good. But
well, and I have to say, I like the movie version of the end better than the book, just because it's not as... It's more believable.
Well, it's a product of its time.
Yeah.
Like, the issue is the book ending actually was very, very sensical as a choice for Alan Moore to make for when the book came out, because famously, Reagan, when somebody asked what it would take to end the Cold War, Reagan said the only way that Russia and America would ever be on the same side would be if an extraterrestrial threat attacked, because no other threat could be big enough.
Yep.
And so Alan Moore's like, all right, challenge accepted. I'm making that story. Spoilers, there's an alien, and then, well, or there isn't. Double spoilers. The point is, like, it seems weird 30 years later reading Watchmen. You're like, what? Fake space octopus? What the fuck is this? I've read all this shit and it's leading up to a fake space octopus? This is dumb! But at the time, it made sense, and it is good for what it is. But yeah, I do like the change they made, because for a contemporary audience, and just in general, like, without being tied to...
It also saved, like, 15 minutes of...
Yeah. Of course, then why does Bubastis exist? Like, Bubastis exists to show the genetic engineering that he's been doing. Now it's just, hey, look, I have a cool cat. But whatever. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good film. And they did an amazing job with the comedian.
Yes.
The comedian in the books, you know, he was supposed to be like not an anti-hero, but like he's a terrible person, but you kind of see things his way and you understand why he's that way. And in the books, I never felt that way. In the books, comedian's a shithead from beginning to end, and I always hated him.
And there's no reason to like him whatsoever.
Ever. But in the movie, they do a much better job where you hate him, and then you're like, oh, yeah, but you know what? I kind of get why he's this way.
Yep.
So kudos for that. That's... Man, is that my... It is a toss-up. Another toss-up between that and the director's cut of Sucker Punch, for which film justifies the existence of what's-his-face? What's the director's name? Freaking Batman and 300, and he's the guy that directed these movies.
Yeah.
Zack
Snyder. I don't know which of those two movies is a more legitimately good film in my eyes, is the director's cut of Sucker Punch. Or
have you seen the director's cut of Watchmen?
I have not seen I saw Watchmen in theaters. I haven't seen the director's cut.
It's supposed to be good because it adds like 45 minutes.
That might be good, yeah.
But
I like they had like a little documentary at the beginning of it, basically talking about how, like, kind of telling the story of the Watchmen. Like how they came up through the years. There was a documentary telling you about the Watchmen.
Sure.
That was awesome because that was dealing with a lot of, like old
like the
Photoshop
first gen
pictures and of the original Night Owl.
Okay, so the first gen heroes.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the Blu-ray. That
all the like little snippets at the end of every chapter of the book talk about those guys. Sure. Arctic Circle asked if it's just because of who they cast as comedian. I wouldn't say necessarily it's because the physical performance, which in no small part is because of the actor, but on the page, sometimes for some reason, and this maybe is a limitation of comics in general, maybe not. Maybe it's just that for some reason whoever inked Watchmen just did a bad job with comedian.
Well, he was almost like goofy inked and stuff like that. Just the colors and stuff like that was just
subtle emotions. You know, subtle emotions, voice cracking a little in the middle of sentences, like those little things that get across breaking of a person didn't come across in the book version of it as well as it did. And that's partially because it was a good performance and partially just the
limitations of the media.
limitations of the media, right?
Just, yeah, the confrontation between him and Ozymandias. I mean, it was just that. I mean, I've read the comic for that part itself, but that fight sequence in his apartment.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you were waiting for me to say something else.
No. I was trying to think of which fight scene with Ozymandias, because several are good.
Right.
Well, no, it was a
He
fight
also
scene
does
between
have-
the comedian and
Correct.
Ozymandias was just really well done.
I do also love the villain speech in it, just because he goes off on this big speech, and then, we're here to stop you. It's like, you idiots, I did this half an hour ago.
Yeah. You think I would tell you my plan if it wasn't already done? Spoilers.
Yeah, also spoilers to Ozzy kills comedian.
Yes.
Am I right on that?
Yeah. He has him murdered because he knows the plan. Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
There you go. I fixed your Valkyrie. Go grab the foot.
Squish. She's got a foot now. Yay. Thanks, Andy.
Yay.
You're the best.
Wow.
He just built a model for you.
My
All right, you're the
my
best.
price for NIST hunters have jumped up to $40.
That is a far more reasonable price for an Andy assembled unit of NIST hunters.
Yeah.
$5 a model with a bulk discount
Yes.
is what that was. Like,
yes.
if somebody's like, here, assemble this solo,
Yeah, it's like
$5.
$2, $3.
No, Andy, no! As your manager, I'm here to tell you it is $5 a model with a unit bulk discount. He doesn't get it, Dan.
Does Hoof get me?
Shut up.
Does Hoof get me?
We get an
Popeyes?
employee discount. As
Okay,
his,
all right. Those hoof count.
Employee discount. There's only one of me.
No,
With
we
my
get
manager.
it. Yeah.
No, you don't get I'm not being represented by two people.
Sorry, Dan.
You didn't even let go.
Pack up your stuff. You're no longer part of Andy Incorporated.
Oh.
The
Will you still build my eye switches? And pin those goddamn arms.
what?
Will you still pin the goddamn arms on those R switches?
No.
Damn it.
I think I'm going to buy Company of Iron in a week.
You are?
Probably, because at the end of the month, every other Minion model that I don't own will be available on Private Joe Press's store, except Agatha.
Yeah.
And I know her name's not Agatha, but Agatha is kind of silly, so I'm going with Agatha. And so the point is instead of waiting for it to come out individually, I'm just going to order all the other stuff and then just get the Company of Iron box.
You get to another unit of
Brigands.
brigands.
And I'll just sell them or something.
Yeah.
I don't need 3 units or 43. I have 2. I don't think I need 3 units of Brigands.
Yeah, I have actually 2 units of brigands as well. I don't have any. I don't even play minions.
Is the UA FA2? Because that I would never run a unit of brigands without the UA is what it boils down to.
Go ahead, checking.
But anyway, the point is,
I can probably
is the Signar model unique in there?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe I'd sell that too. And
It's kind of annoying though. So that the Signar model
FA3.
FA3. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh,
and
so
I do have
use another unit of brigands then.
I do currently have a third one of those because at the ATC, Dan Skybo was like, "Hey, did you lose a brigand UA like at a tournament like a year ago?"
Sure.
I'm like, "Maybe, I don't know." He's like, "Well, I have it with me. I'll show it to you." And he showed it to me. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I think this is mine because it was primed in like a tan primer that I used on whatever. The point is, it was a weird primer, and it's a primer that I used on some of my stuff.
So
and
either
I
you
took
have
it home.
3 or you've been missing one for a while.
Well, that was my thought. It's like, wow, this looks way too much like mine to not be mine. So I took it home, and I haven't checked my foam, but when I was looking through my foam before Rick's last event, I think I would have noticed it was missing. So I think I have 3 is what it boils down to.
Oh, so the UA is just a single model?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's
interesting. That's
just
cool.
double guns.
Yeah, it's just Mr. Double Guns.
Oh.
And he's real good.
Double the pleasure, double the guns,
He
or double gums.
definitely doubles my pleasure.
Now, I might actually be able to help supply you with that too.
Yeah.
Double gums. No.
What, Agatha?
Agathea.
Oh, no, I'll just get the company. I have to use up all my PG points. And the only thing, if I get that, the only other things I'll need is 2 eyelashes.
Did you pick up Orion?
Andy says that I can have the Orion that he got for his Who's the Boss. But yeah, so if I have Orion, if I get 2 eyelashes, and then I need 2...
Why do you need 2 eyelashes?
Because there's no way I'm running a human one in Convergence, and so I need 1 to mod for Convergence and 1 for my minion list.
That sounds like a project I would like to do.
Yeah, we'll look at it because they're taking the algorithmic dispersion artifacts. Is that what it is? The ADO, the Arc Node dude. You know, because he's got like the priest outfit and everything, and so you could definitely put eyelash arms and head onto him.
I got a great idea.
Okay.
So you could take Excellent Thexus's body.
Okay.
Which I have like 4 Excellent Thexuses.
Sure.
So you take his, not the spider body, but then you know, like the
oh, okay. I was thinking of the spider body.
So, no, just the body that's in front. That's kind of like this.
Sure.
Take that, attach a servitor head to it,
and just have him floating around.
Have him floating, and then just like attach on like the book from his hand onto his side, and the other one, and that like the hand with the skull. You
Convergence aren't that mean. See, you should do that with an Exelon. That's how you should have eyelash in a drudge unit. Okay. It's slaved up like that.
Actually, that does bring up a good question. Do your servitors have Bard hats?
They do not.
Okay.
They do not. There is not a real easy way to get the Bard hats on there. It's just the small based units.
Okay.
Oh my god, they would look amazing. I was just thinking about this. You could put Cossite hats on all of them.
No, the Long Chops hat is the new hat. That's the new hotness. Is the Long Chops hat?
Is it actually a separate bit?
It is.
It is.
Oh, they're.
Yeah, his
here you are geniuses.
Yeah.
Well, no, they need to use up all of Nate's PG points.
Right. Yeah, I had bits order like a shitload of Long Chops hats. And
I've got like 400 points. It's still left over. So
yeah, I had a lot. There was definitely a comma in the number of points I had, so I've been using those up.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
Yeah, I need a couple
eyelashes. Convergence army, all with Cossite hats.
Sure. All Convergence armies need hats.
Or you could actually take like this is another option you could do. You could take some of the Woodland Scenics cylinders and just chop them up into little things, and then just attach like a piece of string on them and just make them fezzes.
Sure.
So you have a whole army full of fezzes, and that would be amazing too.
It's a whirling dervish army.
Yeah.
Fezzes on a dervish.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like, and actually one on Amon. That actually would look pretty cool. And almost be okay.
I was also thinking of just getting them small cars too. They could drive around in a parade as well.
Yeah, definitely. Those are just Shriners.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel bad because they're old guys that have to get into those like little cars, and
it's all for the children.
It's all for the children. Okay.
And they do great work for the children.
And those little cars are probably more comfortable than walking for a whole parade.
They
get to zoom around, man.
I used to do marching band stuff. I guarantee you it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, our parade director hated us. We had to march in black uniforms, but...
Yeah, when I was in Cub Scouts, or actually this might have been Boy Scouts, but we did we would do parades in Galena, and we had like a 20-foot by 50-foot or whatever American flag that we would hold from all the sides and carry down. We carried the whole American flag the entire parade route.
Well, thank God you weren't carrying it in this weather that's happening outside now with like gusts up to... I don't know what miles per hour, but I hear it sometimes.
Upwards of 3.
Because that's how you lose kids. When
they're holding the flag. I forgot about the flag, and I thought just in general the wind just murders children.
Well, it does sometimes if they're in bouncy castles.
Sure, yeah. As kids oftentimes are in the dead of night in February in Wisconsin.
I mean, thank God we didn't have those issues when we were children, because we didn't really have that many bouncy castles when we were children. But nowadays, that's an epidemic.
That's true.
You got to make sure you tie those things down. Don't just inflate them and leave them in your backyard. You got to.
Well, then they just crop up, right? Like every spring, there's a dozen bouncy castles in your yard. You know, because you can never get to the root of them. You always think you got rid of all the bouncy castles.
Yeah.
Just the blower sounds then.
Yeah. You can hear them. It's like cicadas in the night. You can hear them inflating themselves.
You just wake up from a dead sleep. You just hear,
it's back. So, speaking of inflating and blowers and whatnot, so we haven't moved
going with this
to a airbed, not to a sex toy. So we
we
haven't moved our furniture because I got a nice new bed like 3 months ago, which is very annoying because I assembled it and now it won't fit out of the door to my bedroom, which means moving it is going to be difficult because I'm going to have to unassemble it, and I'm not looking forward to that. But so we set up a big queen size air mattress, a pillow top one or whatever, at the convent to sleep on while we're working on it. And so we're inflating it, and I'm getting pretty much full. And Kaya jumps up on top of it, and she's all excited. She's like, "Oh, is it bedtime?" I'm like, "No, Kaya, it's not bedtime yet. You know, go run and play." And she runs her off. She's running and playing, and then she comes and jumps back on and everything. She does that like 3 times, and then the 4th time she jumps off, and I just hear. Yeah, apparently airbags aren't designed for dog claws when they're pushing off to get better jump momentum.
Yeah. I mean,
so then I'm frantically. I don't have tape and glue and patch kits at this house yet, right? So I'm frantically.
It came with a mattress.
It came with a patch, but the thing is, this is on like the felt top, not the smooth side or bottom. So that thing's not sticking. And so I'm running along, and I find like buried in the back of the basement, covered in dust amongst some other tools that are there, I find like some 1,000-year-old. It was liquid electrical tape, it called it. And judging by the smell, it was just rubber cement, but it was like rubber safe. And so
it's just pure cancer.
It's just pure cancer, right?
Yeah.
But it says it's safe on rubber. It says it dries to a hard seal, and it's safe on rubber, and those are the 2 things I was looking for. So I peel off the seal, and I'm trying to pull this on there, but it's like glue, and so the wind is just making it fly off. It's like trying to piss into the wind. And so I felt like I put the crappy patch that's not working like half down, and I just shove the nozzle under there and just squeeze so like a big globule gets under there, and then I just shove that down. Yeah.
Did it work?
The 5th time I did that, yes. Because I did that, let it dry, and then I pulled the patch off to see if the glue was holding, and it was hissing still, but a little less. So I did that like 4 more times, and then the last time I just left the patch on there. I'm like, fuck it. This is like when you put gauze on a scab. When you pull the gauze off, it just takes the scab off. So I'm just leaving it there.
Yeah.
So for the end of time, we're just going to have cancer holding a shitty piece of plastic onto my torn bed.
Yeah. I bet your room smelled wonderful after that too.
Oh man, I could see through time. I could hear colors.
I thought that was just your floor.
Well, that too.
Oh.
Yeah, the asbestos and the rubber cement fumes mixed really well.
Did you get a report on how old those the paint on the walls are?
No, but I'm just assuming the entire floor is made out of asbestos right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and lead.
Good.
Yeah.
Do not forget the lead.
Oh, the walls have lead in them for sure. But yeah.
So the paint was tasteful.
Oh, yeah.
It was tasty. You're like, scrape this off and like, nom.
There were enough layers that I think the lead layer is down a couple.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yes, you can lick the walls, just don't chew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a gobstopper. Like it was kind of gray on top, and then underneath that was like a blue, and underneath that was like a pink. And one of those layers, eventually you get to the lead. But
so you get to the best part. It's like, oh, latex. Tasty. Because that's an issue too. Is if people didn't know lead paint, it's tasty.
It's
to
your
some
generation's
people.
Tide Pod.
Yes. It is, yeah. Fucking A. So, okay, talking about Tide Pods, and this will probably get us taken off of YouTube, because technically you're not supposed to talk about Tide Pods. Oh, actually, you could talk about them. You're not supposed to encourage
We're not
people to eat them.
encouraging.
We're not encouraging people to eat them.
you should
time.
eat Tide Pods.
Don't eat
They're
Tide Pods.
delicious.
No.
By all means, just swallow them whole
So,
and die, you idiots.
here's the weird thing I don't get. So Tide Pods, I guess, are kind of newer or such.
Last 5, 10.
Dishwashing pods have been around for much longer than that. Why were kids eating those? Those were the original. You should eat those.
They're not squishy. They're hard.
Are they hard?
Yeah.
I thought
They're
they were
harder.
gooey.
I think that, see, I feel like the Tide Pod thing was a joke. Like, somebody joked about it, right? Like, somebody was like, oh, no, we're eating Tide Pods, ha-ha, wink, wink. And nobody was actually doing it. Nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
But somebody made a fake meme about kids eating Tide Pods. And then the news was like, your kids are eating Tide Pods. And they were wrong at the time.
Correct.
But then kids ate Tide Pods because the news was claiming people were doing it.
Could it be similar to like bath salts? Like basically, people weren't actually eating bath salts until they were actually eating bath salts.
Well, I thought people weren't eating bath salts. I thought there was a drug called bath salts.
Yes.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was actually literally bath salts.
No, there's a drug that just is nicknamed bath salts. It's like a form of meth.
But even lower quality.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I
It's
seriously,
to meth what crack is to cocaine.
I seriously thought that like the bath bombs that you put for like relaxation, they have like, here's some jasmine, whatever. You throw in a tub and it explodes into like colors and such. I thought people were just like literally eating those.
And their flesh was melting off.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
not how
I'm like, why are they selling this? This doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, why would you want to bathe in this if that's what's, I'm going to go eat a friend's face off?
No, this is more like remember like the troll things where people talk about, here's how to make crystals, and all you need is you mix some food coloring and some bleach and some ammonia, and then you blow bubbles into it with a straw and it makes crystals. And people post that on the internet. Yes, it will literally kill people.
Yeah.
So but 4chan doesn't care. It's a terrible, terrible place full of terrible people. And so people would post those, but I shouldn't say nobody actually did it, but the number of people who actually would fall for that was relatively low.
And they usually fell for it once.
Sure. But then if the news ran with it, all of a sudden millions of people are seeing this shit and are stupid.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Tide Pods. Like, at first it was fake. And then it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
But, I mean, there has been good things that have come out. Have you seen the Hertz donut to Tide Pod donut?
Yeah. Fuck Hertz Donut, by the way. Okay.
Oh, what? No.
Yes.
No.
Fuck them.
No.
Because every time we see on their Facebook, they're like, hey, today only, we've got this certain special donut. Raylene and I will make a special fucking trip out there, and they never have it. Ever. They're 0 for 3. They didn't have the Tide Pod ones, and twice they didn't have pickle ones. Fuck them. For their false advertising bullshit. Fuck you, I would want a pickle donut. Pickles are delicious. We drove all the way out there for a goddamn dill pickle donut, and they advertised on their goddamn Facebook feed that they would have them, and they fucking lied. So all Hertz Donuts is overpriced, soggy cereal shoved on top of a mediocre pick and save donut. Fuck them.
I mean, it's like 4 times the size of a pick and save donut.
It is.
But it's not dill pickle. Despite
They
their
probably have
empty
them now.
lies.
They might have one now.
Fuck them. I'm not going to check.
Aren't they on your way home now?
Now, yeah. But they specifically claimed that they're like, today only, special dill pickles. How do you not? Then we go there like, no, we don't have those. Like,
maybe you're subscribed to the wrong Facebook page.
Like this is an unrelated
You're
donut in like New Hampshire,
in Louisville or something. not the one in Middleton, Wisconsin.
Fuck you, lady. Everything dill pickle's delicious. Dill pickle chips.
I like dill pickle chips.
Yeah, you put bread and butter pickles too.
Fried dill pickles?
Fried dill pickles.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
BW3 has that.
Sure. Well,
Many places have that.
Amazing about BW3, it's now owned by Arby's.
Is it?
Yeah. And it got sold. It should be awesome. Arby's is a great place. More people need to go to Arby's.
Yeah. Well,
Arby's has classed up their menu, and they have much better options than they used to.
And they have classed up. Their social media game is on point.
Oh, God, it is.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you follow Arby's on Facebook, but that is always a gem every day when whatever reference they're making pops up and they have, like, a Shadow of the Colossus made out of Arby's wrappers with a French fry climbing it. It's like, I can't not eat there now.
I wondered if the people that, the Arby's...
You're talking about the Nihilist Arby's?
Nihilist Arby's, yeah. I wondered if maybe they work with them in some way or another.
They touched base with that guy, and they gave him like a year's supply of Arby's, and oh no, they gave him a puppy.
Oh, they did?
They gave him a puppy. They were like, you seem sad, and they gave him a goddamn puppy.
Arby's is great. Oh my god.
I had to draw the line last fall when they had the fast food venison, because they had a venison sandwich. I don't trust that one.
Yeah.
Venison is okay. Venison is just gamey.
I'm not a big venison.
Venison is hard to cook properly, so I do not trust
pretty much the only venison form I like is when you cook the ever-living shit out of it, like venison jerky and sausages and stuff. But like I've had like venison steak or venison burgers, and I just don't like them.
I've had venison brats in there.
Yeah, venison sausage counts because at that point it's just the salt, anyways.
Yeah,
right. That's my point. Like that's what you need to do to venison is it has to not taste like venison.
I like salt to deliver my meat.
Yes.
But yeah, no. I think didn't they come up with a character? Arby's come up with a character for D&D as well for the anniversary thing.
No,
like
well,
I know Old Spice.
I only saw the Old Spice
gentleman.
one. I only saw the Old Spice one.
I could have sworn there was one for Arby's as well.
It might have been the glove,
or it might have been just something.
No, they have the hat, right? Is Hardee's the glove? No, Hardee's is the hat.
Hardee's is fast food.
Arby's was the oven mitt, right?
Arby's is just Ving Rhames.
No, they had a little anthropomorphic oven mitt for a long time. That was Arby's.
How we got onto fast food Voltron?
Yeah, which okay, if we're forming Voltron with fast food, which are the parts? I mean, which is the core? I mean, we should make up the core, make up the arms, and which one is Pidge?
Yeah, they had anthropomorphic oven mitt.
All right, so that's one of the ham.
That was their TV commercial for a long time.
Yeah, I was thinking Hamburger Helper, but it's.
Well, no, he was a full glove for no explicable reason. Like, you know what makes me think of hamburger delicious meals is a surgical glove.
Yeah. No, it was like more of like a Mickey Mouse glove.
I guess so.
It was
a white skin tight glove is a surgical glove in my book. Mickey Mouse is ready to operate.
That Hamburger Helper glove was not skin tight.
Depends on the hand.
If it was a Mickey Mouse hand, then yes.
Yeah,
it was a Wisconsin hand.
Aggie is either swearing or attempting to link something. Yeah. Never sure which.
Never sure. I'm guessing the Nihilist RV Twitter account.
Probably.
Yeah, everybody should go to the Nihilist RVs. It's great. We'll retweet some for Crippled System. Throw it up on our Facebook page.
And then we can play a game. Is this retweeting or is this Brian?
Well, Brian doesn't post anymore.
That you know of.
I know because I watched it. Watch our streams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That you know of.
Oh. Speaking of social media, one of our friends who had a special Facebook account got destroyed. And it didn't get destroyed, but got reclaimed.
Let us take a moment to pay respects to Benghazi.
Yeah. I mean, he can still get his account back.
He just has to legally change his name to Benghazi, get a driver's license in that name.
Well,
I offered to Photoshop a driver's license to say Benghazi so he could send in a picture of it, but he said that Facebook actually hired a company that checks those names now.
Yeah.
Why would they care that much?
No, I mean, Rational Gonzo, the host over for More Than Dice, he's always gone by Gonzo, so his Facebook account had Gonzo on it, and his got locked out for a while too.
And I don't understand why Facebook would care.
Every so often they just do this, where they just go and clean out everyone with a fake name. Because one of my friends from high school was doing that too, and not this time, but the last time they did a sweep, he got kicked for a while.
But there's legitimate reasons to want to be on social media but hide your identity, right? Like you could want to keep touch with your friends and family, but not want your employers, or employees, right? Yep. Like, because maybe you work someplace politically sensitive, but you want to be able to go on there and do stuff.
We have privacy controls where you can hide your page.
Yeah, well, their argument is fuck you.
Yeah, no.
What it really is that it's harder to sell your information when they don't have the accurate information.
You're not wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we are not the client, we are the product.
Correct. We are also the customers.
We are not the customers.
We are
I mean, we're the customers of their advertising.
Right.
We are the product.
They serve us that advertising.
We are the meat.
Can I be the salt to deliver the meat? Wait. Yeah. That sounded weird. I wonder if YouTube will eventually end up switching over to that too, or we can't use Crippled System. We have to use Nathan, Andy, Dan, Brian, Jeremy, Katie.
They kind of did that a while ago, like several years ago now, when Google either partnered with or bought them out. Because I remember that now that my Google account logs me into YouTube automatically, when it first did that, the first time after they did that, YouTube was like, hey, we're going to show your real name now. And like there was some hoops you could jump through to make it not do that.
Yeah.
But now it just shows my real name. It doesn't show Radiothan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I think it's because they want it attached to your Google Plus account.
Sure.
So if you had a Google Plus account,
Which I did.
in that,
Is
it
Google
tried
Plus
to do
still
that.
around? Is Google Plus still
I
around?
don't think so. Not that I know of. It stopped. It stopped asking me to switch our name for Crippled System over to Crippled Space System because I didn't want to change our channel name.
Sure.
And I'm actually still listed on Major Tusk on YouTube. I just never uploaded anything. It's my viewing username.
It's just hard because when I'm watching, basically softcore porn on YouTube like you do, and it wants me to log in to watch age-restricted stuff, and I'm like, I don't want people to see me masturbating to men's gymnastics.
You can delete your history in there. You can remove videos from your history.
That's good.
But I mean,
You can't from Netflix.
but
those
YouTube
bastards.
knows.
You can. This is hard.
I know. I'm just saying, what's the point of having blue as the warmest color on Netflix if my wife knows that I watched 45 seconds of it?
What is blue is the warmest color?
Lesbian porn.
Oh,
It is a French artistic film that has a lot to say about humanity and growing up in a confused world.
I mean,
At least I've heard that. I've only seen the scissoring. But it was really artistic scissoring.
I had thought
Like music was playing.
some of the
There's a con.
There's Jesus Christ. All right, I had thought that scissoring was a myth. I mean it's just
I don't know if people do it in real life, but it's in movies.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, maybe I need to watch this.
If you like, artistic French films and watch them for their artistic merit,
Sure.
don't watch it. But if you want to watch,
What?
I mean, it won a
how
bunch
many-
of Academy Awards.
it did win a bunch of awards. It actually is a good movie.
How
But it's what
many minutes do I have to be into this film?
there's a website that'll tell you all this information. It's I think he's a family man because his name is Mr. Kin, Mr. S. Kin.
Mrs. King?
Yeah, Mrs. Kin.
Mrs.
That's right. It's
Kin.com.
some lady who's all about family. So if you go to mrskin.com, it'll tell you when you can see these emotional bonding moments in this artistic French film.
Yeah, don't look it up at work.
Yeah, our chat is providing many options for you, Andy.
But no, it reminds me of when I think I've told this story before, but I had a gift card for Target from Christmas.
Oh, I thought you had a gift card for the movie.
Yeah, I had a softcore lesbian porn gift card. No, I had a gift card for Target from Christmas, and I go in there, and they're having a sale on films, and I'm over there, and I'm looking at these movies, and I see, a bunch of movies, and then there's some that I really like that are on sale, and I grab like 3 or 4, and I go up to the front, and I'm going to check out, and I have these movies on the conveyor belt, and they're going up, and I notice, and for some people, I'll have to explain this, and some will just get it right away. But I'm looking at the conveyor belt, and I'm looking at the teenage girl that's about to bring me out, and I look down, and I have Boogie Nights, Hard Candy, and Secretary. And all 3 of those are very erotic movies.
I would
They're
have.
all really good. They're all really fucking good movies. But I'm like, oh my god, I accidentally have just like the creepiest pervert theme going on here.
And you get that.
And I look like this,
get that.
right? I look like this, and I'm buying a movie about porno, a movie about S&M, sadomasochistic relationship, and a movie about an underage rapist. Like, these are the 3 movies I'm buying.
What would have been better instead of having Secretary if you had Secretariat?
Secretary starring Secretariat. I don't know.
I don't know if I could watch that movie. The way you described that movie,
Which one, Hard Candy or Secretary?
Secretariat.
Secretary. I've heard you describe it, and I do not believe I can watch that because that's basically just all just a gore fest.
No,
no.
you're thinking of something else. I think you're thinking of Audition.
Yes.
You're thinking of Audition. Secretary is Maggie Gyllenhaal and James Woods, and it's the 50 Shades of Grey 20 years ago and good.
Oh, speaking of which, do you want to be depressed?
Is it like number 1 at the box office or something like that?
140 million last week.
Fuck America.
But they made a trilogy just like is it a better love story than Twilight?
It's a Twilight spinoff, so... But yeah, no, Secretary is the 50 Shades of Grey of the 90s.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see the other one film.
Audition?
Audition. No.
No.
I've heard.
It takes a hilarious turn, but yeah, then it's just people getting limbs sawed off, and it's very just not fun.
No.
Because it doesn't, like, the thing it does either, I don't know if this makes it better or worse, but it's not, like, over-the-top, wacky, fun, like, hostile level, you know?
It's just,
that's
like,
not a phrase I
just
would've-
seriously,
Right.
like staring into your eyes as they're just slowly cutting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, fuck that. No.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Evil Dead, the newest one either, just for stuff like that. I hear about something about an eye that I don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, the newest Evil Dead it manages to take it. I don't like Hostel level. Like, Hostel level is still very unpleasant to me. Like, Audition is just flat out unpleasant. Like, Audition is very realistic. It feels like watching someone being tortured, and it's very painful to watch. Hostel, to me, still feels that level. Some people think it's more cartoonish, right?
Sure.
It's not...
It's right.
It's over the top, but it's not like the blood is humorously splurting out stuff. It's still realistic,
Right.
so it's just crazy.
Right. The amount is over the top, but
Yep.
the actual execution is still at a realistic level.
Yeah. So you're in that uncanny valley peak again. Where,
Evil Dead goes to the Kill Bill, like, literal fountains of blood shoot out of people, and so for me, Evil Dead got to the point where it was entertaining to
correct.
watch.
It's back up the curve.
The only times that Evil Dead was, like, not entertaining, but it was more uncomfortable, was when you weren't seeing things. Like, the eye scene wasn't that bad to me, but the scene that was bad for me was when you could hear someone cutting their own face off, but you couldn't see it, and the person's walking closer and closer to pull aside the shower curtain so that you will see it, and that tension was very uncomfortable. But flip side, when somebody saws their own arm off with a electric, like, turkey knife... And then they stand up, they're like, I feel much better now. And then the last bit of skin breaks and the arm just falls off right to punctuate that sentence. That was funny.
I don't know if I can watch that.
Yeah, probably not. Like I said, there are 4 different levels of being entertained by gore. And I think you're at level 4, which is no. I think that's Andy's level of being entertained by gore.
I mean, is that
no.
4 or is it 1?
But I watched. Was it
the Crazy 88 fight in Kill Bill Volume 1. Like, how do you feel about that?
That's fine.
Right, yeah.
But that's just all. That's just.
It's Kool-Aid spraying 50
That's
feet
just
in the air.
Kool-Aid.
Like, doesn't even-
that's 70s style gore.
And the new Evil Dead is half that and half Hostile. It really treads the line from scene to scene.
Because I mean, I watched Midnight Meat Train. I think it was. That was actually fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the weird premise of that movie where it was just about vampires. Was it about vampires?
Cannibals or whatever, but yeah. I mean, the last scene of the new Evil Dead, they had to have a rain machine filled with fake blood because someone gets a chainsaw taken to them, and that's how much blood was geysering up in the movie, was that it's raining outside of the cabin.
Yikes.
I said, yeah. I think it kind of actually, it accelerates. Like, the first couple are very more just realistic, here's blood, and it's very terrible. And then the last one is fountains of chainsaw blood. So I guess it just ramps it up as it goes along.
I think so it's truly a love letter to
it absolutely.
to him, yeah.
Sam Raimi, I think, helped produce the new one.
Yeah,
so he was involved. But yeah, it
But I mean, that's probably what they were like, like, hey, here's this thing, and like, we're just going to
It's like, turn it.
around a little bit for you. Which I'm happy that Sam Raimi is doing stuff with Ash vs. the Evil Dead, though, too. So.
That show's fun.
And available on Netflix, so you should watch it. That's not my recommendation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I was watching it on Stars when we were subscribing to Stars for American Gods.
I haven't seen that at all.
You should.
Yeah.
It's very good.
How will we do this thing? I will watch American Dogs.
American Dogs.
American Dogs with you, and then you can watch Fargo with me.
Maybe.
I love Fargo. Oh, we just finished up season 3. It's so
there's a 3rd season now?
Yeah.
Seems like there's a new season every year or so.
Yeah. It's Ewan McGregor.
I need to get around to watching Stranger Things, too.
Film. He plays him and his brother.
Spoilers.
It's not really a spoiler. It's in there. It's in the trailer for the season.
Oh, trailers are spoilers. Apparently, Midnight Meat Train was originally called Masters of the Universe, according to a liar.
that would be, or the, I don't know. All right, so we should probably go into Zappity Grumbles. We had one way earlier in the chat here. Ooh,
Yeah.
look at that.
There was one up there that the correct answer was Gloomhaven, but if you want to bother to read the question.
I haven't played Gloomhaven. Nobody's invited me to a Gloomhaven thing. Oh.
You scrolled up and then it popped right back down.
For that.
50 Shades was supposed to be Masters of the Universe. All right, great. So,
Damn it! There we go. Now it shouldn't pop down.
all right. So, what is your favorite tabletop RPG? Board games like Super Dungeon Explorer, Shadows over Brimstone, count. Has your favorite character type to play, and what character type? I don't know.
Let's try that again.
What is your favorite tabletop RPG?
Yes. And they're denoting that board games like Super Dungeon Explorer and Shadows of Brimstone count amongst that question.
Correct. And what type of character do you like out of those?
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I going first?
You don't have to. I'll repeat. Gloomhaven is dollar for dollar the best board game / RPG you can buy. It is an insane goddamn value for $150.
Is it a legacy game or is it?
It is a legacy game in as much as an RPG is a legacy system, right? Like,
But I mean, are you destroying it to go further in it?
you don't have to. So there are town events, and those town events can be destroyed. Like they'll say that like there's a one-time event and they'll have you destroy it. Some town events aren't one time.
Okay.
But it's again just like if you're in an RPG and you meet people, like your GM's not going to use that event again, right? If it's a generic thing like some bandits attack you,
Or
they
if you
will.
want to buy bread for 45 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, if it's a generic event like buying groceries for 45 minutes or bandits attacking you, it'll happen again every once in a while because it's generic. And that's how the event deck works in Gloomhaven. There's ones that get shuffled in.
Does event
But a
deck
unique
also
thing,
talk
like
about how-
our group won a pie eating contest, okay,
Sure.
which was awesome. Fuck yeah, we won a pie eating contest.
Did it take 45 minutes?
It did not take 45 minutes because we weren't shopping for the pie. The contest was already happening. If we were playing the people putting on the pie eating contest, that would have been hours and hours of role playing the cost of the flour and butter
That
and
group
pudding.
makes me not want to play any Pathfinder or Starfighter.
That
product.
is true.
Like, you let those people into your game.
But in theory, those are supposed to be torn up. Although Brian, when in our one, was just segregating them. You
Sure.
know, but so the thing that is more legacy is when you retire characters. So as you upgrade characters, you can actually like improve their skills, and that's through little stickers. Like if you have your fireball that does 5 damage, you can get a +1 so it does 6, and you can do like a +1 range, or maybe you can give an AOE. But those are stickers that go on the action cards. And in theory, if somebody ever made that character again, those stickers are still on there, so they just already have a better version, which is kind of neat. And then the map, like as you explore areas, you'll change the map, and the town will grow in prosperity. But again, that's all stuff that happens in an RPG as well.
You just have physical elements and
Right.
stuff.
So
Exactly.
instead of actually really being like a board game, it is just more so like
It's an RPG
you
facilitation
You
device.
get together
Yeah.
with people and you have a world building game.
Sure.
A game is basically building itself around you. So
Yeah.
when your characters die, that you start over a new character, you'll have
And it's
this
that
world.
while also managing to be an incredibly tight, well-designed individual scenario combat board game.
Okay.
Like the actual scenarios and the way that you use your action cards and the way initiative works and everything is really fucking well designed. And so that aspect's great. And then outside of that, when you put on stickers and when you
At
know,
that point, it's
help
just a
the town
DM-less
guard,
game.
then it's a DM-less game, exactly. And it manages to be both of those very, very well.
Nice.
And unlike some legacy games, unlike most legacy games, there's no done. Right, and that's the RPG thing as well. Like, you can change that map, you can put all those stickers, you could do every scenario in the Gloomhaven book. It would take you years, but if you manage to do it, either A, you can throw it away and start a new one, because there's actually, like, early on in our thing, spoilers, you kind of had a choice to either help these evil people or fight against these evil people.
Sure.
And so there's 2 full campaigns right there. So you could always do it again. But even without that, there's rules for like generating random scenarios and stuff like that. So you could still play over and over and over again in this
keep on going.
finished.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who I
game.
heard this from, but with just the content that's out now, they figure a weekly game group has 2 to 3 years worth of stuff to do.
Yeah.
That is definitely worth the 150 price tag that it
It's
is right now.
insane bargain.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I mean, there's already a group going. I don't know how much how I would be able to get it.
And you've got your Shadows group still, or I don't know how often you're playing that, or if that kind of trickled out. But
it didn't trickle out. Basically, we changed over and started playing some Kingdom of Death.
Okay, well, whatever. So
testing that out.
In theory, that group could switch to Gloomhaven, but it is a damn good purchase value. Like, I mean, maybe it's because now I'm more of a board gamer than I am an RPGer, but I can't see bothering to play D&D or even the ones I loved like Deadlands and Shadowrun. Like, I'll just play Gloomhaven. Because dice RPGs, the combat tends to either bog down, and then once it starts bogging down, your DM just has to go, and then the bad guys all die. Let's get back to doing something fun.
Well, and that was the best part of the Iron Kingdoms one, is combat still rolled smoothly.
Yes.
The problem, like, my game group still had was one of the 5 of us still had to GM it.
Right.
And we would go for a while, then they would burn out and we'd rotate, but it's a lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah, being a DM, and Brian was always our DM for the longest time for all of our games, and he would just literally spend hours just planning out the sessions, and then try to wrangle.
Yeah, it's a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio.
Yeah, and then try to wrangle cats to go down the path that he wants them to go down, because goddamn, we're all filled with like, ooh, shiny, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
I remember the look of sadness on a friend's face. He was a player in our group when I was in high school / junior high, and then he finally was going to GM for the first time.
Sure.
And he obviously, I mean, I should have known at the time. Like, I should know a meet cute when one happens, right?
What?
A meet cute, like when the important characters meet for the first time.
Oh, okay, sure.
A plot seed, so to speak.
Sure.
Because, like, I was at a bar or whatever, and, like, this guy's like, blah, 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 talk, blah, blah, and so I just killed that guy. So I was like, I'm just going to kill that guy. And so I just shot him in the face, and he died. And the sadness, because apparently David spent, like, weeks designing this entire plot line that all hinged on this guy.
Yeah.
I had a Star Wars RPG in high school where I took printed material and modified it to make it more interesting, but instead my character's 15 minutes in stole the ship they were supposed to be delivering and turned it into a drug haven.
To answer couple quick questions in chat, Gloomhaven is now fully in print, gettable at game stores. You can get it for retail price.
If you can find it.
But they're reprinting it fairly rapidly.
Yep.
Do not pay through the nose for
eBay. There should be another one coming out in like 2-3 weeks. I think.
And it's not like 150 retail. If you don't want to wait a couple weeks and you get it for 160 or something, fine. But don't spend like $200-300. It's fairly gettable. Like Walmart.com had it. Calm down. And then player counts. It actually does have solo mode. It plays up to 4. 4 is maximum. If you play solo mode, you either can do it as a single player, or you can play as many characters as you want by yourself. There are rules to make it harder for yourself if you do it that way, because the way the only thing that players can't share fully with each other is when they're going in initiative order, and because it's very advantageous to know who's going before each other.
Yep.
So that change like every round then, or
the way the initiative works is for your round in combat, the main way you go is you have a hand of action cards.
Sure.
So the way we'll just go over this mechanic in general. Your characters have a hand of action cards. It's not random or anything. When you are going into the mission, you get to then intelligently amongst your available pool build a hand, and depending on the character, it might be anywhere from 7 to 13 cards. That's your character's hand. And each turn, you play 2 of them. You pick one of them. They all have a top, a bottom, and a number in the middle. You pick which of the 2 you're playing as your initiative, and the number in the middle is when you go in turn order. And it's anywhere from, I think the lowest I've seen is 5, and the highest I've seen is like 99. Like, it's anywhere from 0 to 100. And so you can't communicate with other players when you're going specifically. You can be vague. Like, I'm going quickly, I'm going slowly.
So those 2 cards put down or up?
They're put face down.
Okay.
Then you simultaneously reveal, and you get your initiative order. And then the monsters flip up what they're going to do, which also has an initiative order. So they might go before you or after, in between people. Then on your turn, you do, in any order you want, the top of one card and the bottom of your other card.
Oh, so the number combined is your initiative?
No, you pick one of the 2 cards. So if I play a 7 and a 90, I can either go really early or really late. I get to choose, but I have to, when I put the 2 cards down, you put one of them on top, and you flip that one, that's your initiative, and then you flip the other one. You don't get to look at everybody's and then pick.
Okay.
You are without knowledge of the other player's pick in your initiative.
Got it. Okay.
But then as far as actions go, you pick, then when it gets to you, you pick the top of one and the bottom of the other, or the bottom of one. You know, you can do it in either order, and that's what you do.
Got it.
Usually the bottom is movement and the top is attack, but some of them mix it up. Like if you get an attack on the bottom, that's a huge deal because all of a sudden, combined with that usually effect, you can do double attack.
Sure.
Similarly, a movement on top is huge because you're running really fast. But and then those 2 cards go to your discard pile. And then when you rest or when you're out of cards, you get to take all those cards back, but one of them is just lost from the game permanently. What? There's a little stick. What'd you do? What? Yeah, I see that. Oh, it's his poop? He made a little pooper.
Just a little poop.
It's a little pooper. And so as you go through your hand, you lose your options get slimmer and slimmer, and then when you're out of cards completely, or actually when you're down to 1 because you can't play 2, your character is exhausted and you're out.
Sure.
And so the characters that start with more are able to survive longer than the characters that have fewer. But yeah, so to make up for that, if you play multiple characters, that gives you perfect knowledge of what order your players go into, so the game has a special rule that you have to do if you're going solo. But I guess the short answer is 1 to 4.
Ditto.
Cool.
Gloomhaven's really fucking good.
I personally like Shadows of Brimstone. You've heard us talk about Shadows of Brimstone a ton of times. If you're looking more of like a high fantasy, then Warhammer Quest works as well. But I really enjoy those games. They're not any type of game that's it's not a legacy game, but you do gain experience as you go with your characters up. You just have character sheets that you fill out.
What about since we all did board game ones and they said board games count and we all immediately went to them, what if they didn't count?
Well, like your favorite.
What's your favorite RPG?
RPG? I probably D&D. I mean,
classic.
Like
It's classic.
classic second edition D&D. I liked a lot. I have a hard time dealing with modern realism in my games. Like,
sure.
Like if we're having a like Vampire the Masquerade or things like that deal in our time, I have a hard time dealing with that because I have a hard time separating technology that's happening now to technology that's in like a high fantasy. Like you could play a game where there's just a bunch of peasants like in the frontier and there's vampires running around, but you're dealing with modern day New York City. There's cameras.
On the
there's
other
so
hand,
much harder to do.
There's always the Detroits of the world.
There's Detroit world. Yes, the frontier of leading to Canada. But I mean, I have a hard time just separating those two out. It just doesn't. Because I know how technology works, and
Sure.
and if there's a big fight and a bloodbath and
The
something
other
like
thing
that,
I've seen is technology advances so rapidly these days, and unless you have something really recent, all the modern settings are laughably out of date.
True, very true. I just go into my experience when I had somebody that was trying to run a Vampire the Masquerade game, and it just I could not. It wasn't any fault of that DM because I've played games with that DM before, but I just couldn't. I couldn't immerse myself in that world. What
about Dark Ages? Did you ever play the Dark Ages?
I played Dark Age of Camelot.
No, Vampire the Dark Ages. It's the same game mechanic, but in like
that I could probably
medieval
do.
time.
That I could probably do. I mean, I gotta have.
They did that almost specifically for people like you.
Yeah.
Like they're like, here's this game mechanic. Oh, you don't like it being in 1990s America? Well, here it is in the Renaissance era France.
Yeah, I could probably do that. It just, yeah.
Well, I mentioned them. I dropped them, but my two go-tos that I played the most by far were Deadlands and Shadowrun.
Didn't play any of Shadowrun. I played the NES game of that a lot.
Yeah.
But
the world's great. I mean, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's great stuff. Blade Runner style, Johnny Mnemonic with Henry Rollins in there, and then you add on fantasy creatures like a fucking a dragon like in cyberspace. Like it's just cool stuff. Like the melding of those two very disparate types of storyline were great to me.
You're talking about the dragon from like the Atari 2600 Adventure, right?
Sure.
Like, the giant giant duck.
Yeah. I'm a dragon.
The best part is in that Atari 2600 game is when you get eaten, that you're just a cube inside the dragon. The game doesn't end. You're just inside the dragon. You can't get out.
Like in Shadowrun, one of the clever storylines they had was a dragon, just full on like Smaug style dragon, was elected president of America because nothing in the rules say you have to be human. They say you have to be at least 35 years old and you have to be born in America. And he's like, I'm 17,000 years old and I was born right fucking here.
And then who's going to argue? Who wants to
actually, technically, he still counts because he was in the U.S. when it became a country.
Yeah,
which is that clause that otherwise no longer matters.
Yep, yeah, that's what allowed Washington to be president. But yeah, he's Dunkelzahn, the Great Western Dragon, was president of America.
And he's going to demand his birth certificate.
He got assassinated, sadly.
Somebody get all his treasure?
Well, some people think that he actually got himself assassinated to martyr himself for meta-human rights, but, who knows for sure.
So have you played a lot of... I cannot think of the game. It's a lot of the Shadowrun style. It was out on the PS4. This is bothering me that I cannot remember this game. A guy that basically looks like he's from The Matrix.
Okay.
Is the main
Matrix?
character. No, it's not The Matrix.
It's got Johnny Matrix.
Damn it. This bothers me. I'm going to have to look it up.
Is it Deus Ex?
Yes.
I've played a lot of Deus Ex in general, yes.
Okay. That's it. You were leading me on that whole time. You knew exactly what it was. You were just letting me struggle. Son of a bitch.
So Deus Ex has that cyberpunk thing and the modification thing. The two things that Deus Ex doesn't have, well, I guess the one thing Deus Ex doesn't have, and I'm going to split it to two things, is magic and non-human races.
Sure.
Which I guess are kind of one thing. But so that's what made Shadowrun so unique. There's a lot of things like Deus Ex that have the cybernetics in the future where they're but very film noir, but still in the future with the robot arms and stuff like that.
It's more transhumanism.
It's more transhumanism. There's very few that there's fucking dwarves, man. There's dwarves in Shadowrun. They just have cybernetic eyes to help them with their blacksmithing, right? And it's just a cool blend to have those two things together.
I'm a hacker dwarf.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, hacker dwarfs.
I'm short and I have a small laptop.
Wah wah.
Yeah, I have not played any of this.
Yeah, Shadowrun, it's still unique in that, so I like that. And the mechanics of it were good too, but whatever.
So, D&D 5th edition is probably the best one I've played lately. It just has that right balance of the classic storyline stuff with a combat mechanic system and a leveling mechanic system that's hard to game and doesn't take 45 books.
Okay.
Because that was the problem with third.
Third
is this after a while it's I bring my entire library.
And third was the incarnation. It was the epitome of eventually the GM just waves his hand because holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody played third edition by the rules. In part because you couldn't even understand the rules. They were so complicated. And also in part just there was so much shit. Eventually whatever. Stuff happens.
Yep.
Let's move on with our lives.
Correct. And then fourth went the other direction of this is WoW with pen and paper, which why not do I just not pay $15 and have something else deal with it for me?
Right.
But fifth came back to a very nice balance.
And fourth I think was also one that was very, very just it was almost just a board game.
Yeah,
right?
like I said, the little bit I looked at him, it looked very much like the WoW skill tree at the time.
Sure.
And then you get into the argument of why do one of us have to play a different game? Let's just all play WoW.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I did play some campaigns in third edition because if I remember correctly, second edition had skills and powers, and then they basically brought that into third edition.
Because skills and feats were the big thing for third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the type of people that enjoys just the session itself. I don't like to metagame, and that it seemed like that system really led it to
bad
to be a metagame.
Well,
I've got this sword, so I mean, if I get plus this and plus that,
in high school we once did a epic level campaign where everyone just made the most stupid broken crap ever. And that was fun, but it just showed how outrageous it was getting.
Yeah.
Because the worst of our characters could take out half an army a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third edition required Munchkin behavior.
Correct.
You had to min-max.
Or you had to self-police. You know, after a while, we started writing our own rules of what you couldn't do. By the way, do not play 3rd edition without magical healing. It's bad. That was also the game where I failed a disease check, and we didn't know what to do. Because no one in our gaming group had ever actually failed the second check for disease, so we had to like stop and look it up.
Yeah, I like immersing myself in the character and actually living the character life as it is. Like, I don't want to go into too much of let's talk about other people's D&D campaigns, but we had
Fuck those people from Pegasus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But we had a character a person in our group that was, this is kind of a young person, but he would just do weird and wacky things. And I, as another player, knows that he's doing weird and wacky things, but my character doesn't know that. And so he would we'd be fighting something, he'd be like, I turned into a purple worm, and it's because we're fighting in a cave. And so the cave starts collapsing. And so, my guy's fighting somebody, and suddenly he hears big loud noises behind him. He turns around, and there's a giant purple worm where his wizard friend used to be. I'm going to attack the purple worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, our problem in high school was we had a guy who every campaign he just made drits.
Oh, really?
Every campaign.
Oh, so he's probably super happy that R.A. Salvatore said he's bringing him back. There's a whole new trilogy of books coming.
I can't read the book. I cannot even read the books because of Matt. He destroyed that character so badly.
Yeah.
He's part of the reason. One of the reasons I don't like Forgotten Realms.
Which Matt?
No, the guy in from my high school gaming group who just made drits every campaign. It was, I am the one good drow. Fuck you.
I haven't read a D&D
That's
book in a
racist.
long time.
All drow are good.
At something.
From a certain point of view.
At something.
Well,
Some
how
are
come
good
you
at
have to
killing.
assume that their culture, maybe you're evil for not living the way they live?
They're black.
Wow. Make D&D great again.
Just build up a wall over the Underdark.
I'm sure plenty of drow are good people.
They come here with their
Their spider mounts and
Their torture.
many of them are good elves.
Oh God.
It's funny because our world's a hellhole.
It's a reflection of the culture and times.
All right, we should get to recommendations. Do you have any? I recommend naps. Naps are the best. You want to recommend naps?
I mean, that was my fallback.
What was the movie a minute ago that I said was really, really good?
Dune?
Bright.
No. No to both of those.
What you
I said it was really good.
Yeah.
Earlier, I said the movie was really good. You should watch that movie I said was really good.
You can't remember.
The Last Jedi?
Should I? Star Trek Beyond?
So for now, I'm going to stall and go with the one that I was coming here to recommend, which is 1922, which is a Netflix original film.
Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, Netflix 22. It's the sequel to Netflix 20. And by Netflix, I mean 19.
1922 is a sequel to 1920.
Right.
Did you skip the year?
Well, no, it's 19... Yeah. No, it isn't that it's the year
1921?
after...
And
There was
maybe lost-
1921. That was 1920. It's like there's Thor 1 and Thor 2. There was 1921 and 1922. So it's the second 1920.
There's a comma in here somewhere.
You have a 1920, and then you have another 1920. That one's 1922.
Okay. But what about 1921?
That was the first one.
On first?
It's like you don't
Who's
have a
on
RoboCop
first?
1. You have RoboCop and then RoboCop 2.
No.
You have 1920 and then 1922.
What about 2014 RoboCop?
I think it's 2015.
That's insanity. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing.
We have video evidence otherwise.
Lies! So 1922.
That is like one of my favorite pain trains we've ever done. Is with you,
Just shoot the kid.
you, Katie, and Brian.
The look
The
of pain.
look after you guys were done for that movie is probably my favorite ever.
Anyway, 1922 is a Netflix original film. It's based on a Stephen King story.
When does it take place?
It takes place, I think, in like 1963.
Why is it called 1922?
Because it's a guy writing he's flashing back.
Wait, it's another Stephen King book about someone writing?
What? The story predominantly takes place in 1922.
Is he attacked by a lamp monster?
It is bracketed, yes, spooky lamp monster. The story brackets are that somebody, in his old age is writing down a confession to what he did in 1922.
Like
Is
creepy
he
winkle
handcuffed to
ears?
a bed?
Huh?
Is it Misery?
It is not Misery, and it is also not
The people under the stairs?
no Gerald's Game. Because that's the other handcuff to a bed. That Netflix, Gerald's Game, another good Netflix original movie based on a Stephen King story. But 1922 isn't spooky monsters. It's more cerebral, psychological, emotional, human terror, just like people being bad
Was Brooks
for
there?
reasons. Huh?
Was Brooks there?
Mel Brooks is there. So Mel Brooks is writing a story about how he did something terrible in 1922, which was writing Robin Hood Men in Tights.
That movie's good.
Yeah,
No.
that's the first bad Mel Brooks movie. It is marginally mediocre, barely bad, but it's the first time where Mel Brooks wasn't, God damn it, Mel Brooks. Robin Hood Men in Tights is the beginning of the slide into being awful. It is a mixed
I have
bag.
not watched that movie in a very long time.
You are remembering the
best.
6 good things in it.
Probably am.
Yeah.
I remember Blinken being entertaining.
It's
The blind guy.
There's some good stuff in it,
All right.
but it is a rough ride.
Yeah.
Like, some would argue that the cracks are starting to show as early as Spaceballs, but Men in Tights is the first time where the bad outweighs the good, I think.
Well, that's because it's another one of those things where as you go from genre parody to specific parody, you lose the ability to have as much stuff to pull from. So
Sure.
then you have to stretch your source material so much further.
Yeah, and the jokes themselves just get kind of just weaker and less. They get toothless. You know what I mean? When you get like the sheriff is near, when you get that scene, that is a fierce scene, right? Like all of Blazing Saddles is so fearless, but Mel Brooks later on is just like, oh, I stepped in a pie, and it's like, okay.
Well, and also there's several jokes where you have to watch Prince of Thieves to even get them.
Sure, yeah, like, and then that's.
And
No.
and it's also kind of like the evolution of...
Speaking of which, have you seen the Prince of Thieves director's cut?
No.
It explains the witch really, really well.
Oh, that's nice. Do they also dub over?
No, it's
So
just
he-
like 5 extra minutes of footage,
Okay.
but it makes a lot of things make much more sense.
Kevin Costner still has his amazing British accent.
No.
Which is his Kevin Costner
There.
voice.
Yes.
I like Kevin Costner.
He is terrible. There are many, many, many movies that are amazing despite Kevin Costner. There is no movie that's good because of Kevin Costner.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that entirely. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there are some movies that he doesn't manage to drag down.
And then there's the Postman.
Ugh.
Oh, Postman's so good.
I had so much fun watching The Postman with my brother because we would race each other to predicting the next cliched line, and we were never wrong.
He just wants to deliver mail.
But 1922 is a good movie. Also, if you're listening, you probably remember better than me the movie like 15 minutes ago. Then I'm like, oh, that's a good movie. You should watch that movie. That movie's good.
I like how we vamped this entire time for you to try to remember what movie that was.
Oh, I've
And
just
you
been
can't-
throwing out random terrible movies the entire time.
What was the TV show? What was I talking about? What was the TV show I was telling you should watch? Oh, yeah, American Gods. It wasn't a movie at all. Ha, ha, ha. American Gods is really good. Also, maybe it was a movie and I'm misremembering, in which case, watch American Gods and 1922 and the movie that I'm now just not going to try to remember.
It was
I'm
American
done.
Gods.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think it was too.
American Gods is really good.
So you remembered it and you were just toying with Nathan that whole time?
No, I didn't remember what
Okay.
it was, but... Oh, this is just audition.
Audition. Watch Audition. It's a romantic comedy. It's adorable. It's about a sad old man who finds love again.
In the wrong ways.
Yes. He finds love and loses a foot.
I'm still gonna re-recommend Naps. Naps are great. You know, I saw a meme recently too about somebody talking about, it's like, now I wish I had never skipped naps as a kid, because Man, they were so good.
You know you're an adult when you look forward to naps.
I took a 3-hour nap today. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I said, oh, we can have a race. What we'll do is I'll put on Audition, and you'll try to have a nap before the audition gets to you.
So I found this out, too. When I do take naps during the afternoon, they are the most vivid of my dreams that I have. They're just like weird, crazy things. So I don't think I would want to watch.
Because you probably
that
don't REM as much.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to watch that movie right before I go to sleep. No, I have a hard time after playing like Final Fantasy for like the 9 hours a day that you're required to play Final Fantasy back in the day, and then when I go to sleep, all I can dream about. Actually, all my dreams are in menus. So like the noise they make when you move your mouse, bleep, 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 and everything is in menus. Like I am gonna get up from my bed and walk over to here. It's like bleep bleep bleep, dink, and then I have the action music as I get up to leave the room, stuff like that. That goes on almost all the time in my head.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have a good one. So I'm going to go back to one of the, I think possibly a classic, but, Edge of Tomorrow. This is brought back out from the Kevin Costner movie discussion from earlier because, Edge of Tomorrow, you get to watch Tom Cruise die like 20 times in a row.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise generally, there are movies that are good because of him, though.
Tom Cruise is a batshit insane, terrible human being, but he's a damn good actor.
He is.
That's true, but
really
it's
good.
still enjoyable to watch him die.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
That movie is...
Live, die, repeat.
I think it's... I think it would almost be a bigger classic film if Tom Cruise wasn't in it. I think if it had like some other no-name actor, it might be just like a really good, just like a cult favorite film. But
It might have been dismissed as a generic Tom Cruise action flick.
yeah, that's what I'm saying now.
Although
I feel
him having the baggage he as a person does coming into it, I think helps it a bit because you're disposed to not like him a little bit because of him, and then you get that nice gratification of watching him get beaten down and then actually has to earn his way into something.
Is it one of Paxton's last films too? Is it Paxton? Paxton, I thought was a drill sergeant.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. Well, it's one of his last films.
Right, it's definitely in his last, 4 or 5 films, whether it's the last actual one, I don't know.
I didn't realize. I thought Paxton just died of a heart issue. I didn't realize he actually died by a surgery mishap.
I didn't know that either, I don't think.
I just saw some news about his family suing the hospital or the surgeons for wrongful death. And that was within the last week I saw that. So I thought it was just a plain old heart attack, like kind of like how John Ritter just fell over dead. I thought it was that, but yeah. Sounds like it was a surgery mishap.
It was his 6th to last. Wow, I was close. Oh. After that was Nightcrawlers, then something called Pixies.
Was it Nightcrawlers with Charlie and
with voice
Frank?
acting?
Was it Charlie and Frank from? That'd be amazing.
No, it was Nightcrawler, the Jake Gyllenhaal one.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that.
Pixies, but that says voice work, so probably just some kids movie or something. Term Life, Mean Dreams, and then The Circle, which was the posthumous release. The Circle, probably that terrible, terrible one with what's her face and Mr. Guy.
Yeah, that's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's Mr. Guy.
Mr. Guy.
That's what's her face and Mr. Guy. I thought it was quite clear.
I know Tom Hanks had a nickname like that.
He does now.
All right.
Made it official. You hear that, Tom? You're Mr. Guy.
It kind of works, though.
Yeah.
Tom, we talk about this all the time on the podcast. Tom, you need to make goddamn comedies again.
Yeah.
We need the Burbs 2.
We need Burbs 2. We need Joe versus the Volcano again.
The Adventures of Wilson.
Yeah. That's not... it's not that's Castaway, goofball. There's no volcano in that.
Joe versus the Volcano. We need another Money Pit.
Yeah, but Burbs. Yep. He's all dramatic now.
I really don't understand how there isn't a Burbs 2, though, because it just could be Tom Hanks with Colin Hanks, and, Colin Hanks is his kid. He just moved next door to his dad, so it's his old family there with his kid's family and all the shenanigans. You can bring back the Klopeks, too.
More movies need shenanigans.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Do you have anything else?
Boop.
No, that's sharp.
I know I was going to try to see if it would embed in my skin enough to get lifted up, but not enough to hurt, like it did that time. Nope. It's just sticking.
We're going to...
Yeah, there we go. Oh, no.
All right. Thanks all for watching. Thanks all for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
We love you.
Yep.
Especially the Patreons, because they're the goddamn best.
They are the goddamn best. They make us still have stuff.
What? Oh, Good Guys was an underrated TV show. Oh, man, you made that wound fresh again, non-Euclidean Nick.
If you like Colin Hanks, you should watch Fargo season 1 because he's in it.
No, you should watch Fargo.
We
get it, Andy.
Fargo.
You should watch fucking Fargo. Fargo's a flawless TV show. Everybody likes it. Yeah, I know.
It's not a flawless TV show.
It's pretty close.
It's
Apparently, everybody.
pretty
it's
fucking
like
close.
Like, wasn't season 2 like nothing but 100% on Rotten Tomato or something like that? Oh no, that was Mr. Robot. Some show recently, like every episode was 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mr. Robot is up there on that too.
Yeah.
But Fargo season 2 is by far the superior season out of the 3. But they're all really good. They're all my favorite children. I can't
Pick one.
I can't pick one.
Pick one.
Pick one?
Yep.
Season 2 Fargo.
There we go.
All right, time to destroy season 1.
Erase it from history.
Oh,
You don't love it.
It's a prequel to season 1, actually.
Well, there we go.
So that fills the whole 1920...
Should I watch season 2 first?
That's what we did with Jim.
Watch season 2 first?
Yep.
No, you're thinking of Highlander 2.
But Jim watched Highlander 2, yeah. Speaking of somebody who got their numbers wrong, Jim, our friend, I think we talked about it on the podcast like 200 some episodes ago. His introduction into Highlander was Highlander 2.
Did he make it to Highlander 1?
He did, and he was very confused why none of the characters were talking about the facts that they were aliens. It's like, why are none of them mentioning this? It's an important aspect of their mythos.
Yeah. Oh, and then Highlander 3 is just a repeat of the first one, except instead of having Clancy Brown as the villain, it's got Mario Van Peebles.
So there was one Highlander movie, and then there was an unrelated TV series, and that was it.
Yeah.
Just like there's one book of Dune.
That's fine.
I feel like it goes from Star Trek 1,
I will say-
2, 3,
But there's
4,
only even
6.
but there's
As much as I defend books 2 and 3, I will never read them again. So that tells you something. Yeah, Star Trek 5, poor Star Trek 5. There's such little snippets of what could have been.
that's because it's an odd number Star Trek movie.
Hey,
No. Star
1
Trek
and
3 is
3 are
good.
fine.
Star Trek 3 is good.
Now,
7 is good. Generations is good. I like Generations.
see, I'm not. There's 6 numbered ones, and then they get names.
Oh,
so
yeah,
when you're
that's true.
talking numbers, you really only go with the first 6. And when you go with the first 6, as much as I love 1 and 3, like more than people hate on, they are worse than 2, 4, and 6.
Yeah, no,
Like
I agree.
that's the issue. Is like, like
I mean, it's cheesy. 3, The Search for Spock is cheesy all the way through, but it does fit with the Spock trilogy, which is 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
This is the Spock trilogy. I know you're a big fan of the Kirk trilogy,
2,
which
3,
is
6.
2, 3, 6.
Yep.
5 suffered multiple issues. One of those being budget, which
very much.
Which is odd because Star Trek 4 did really well in the theaters. If I remember
Yeah, but I
correctly.
think the studios were just trying to be really cheap, and I don't
Yeah.
know if like maybe other things hurt them like around the time. It's possible that some like maybe Ishtar came out and failed. So they're like, we don't have money.
Is
Be
5
cheap.
one of the Shatner directed ones?
It's the only Shatner
Okay.
directed.
Yeah.
But yeah, budget, and then as part of the budget, then also they were changing stuff like out from underneath them. Like they go to a planet and he's supposed to like fight some monsters and stuff, and then he just doesn't because they just took that
didn't
money
have
for
it
that
there.
scene away. So it's just like, I guess instead just
There's
nothing interesting happened.
There's parts in that film, and it has probably like my favorite Scotty line ever.
yep.
Where Scotty goes like, "I know this ship like the back of my hand," and then just runs immediately into a beam.
Yep. And then it's got good emotional stuff, like Bones' father. That whole
Yeah.
thing is huge. I mean, there's good ideas in there. It just is a bad movie. And so it makes it interesting to dissect and look at what worked and didn't work.
I would be really interested if there was ever like an actual direct. Well, I mean, technically,
You would have to redo Star
do
Trek
some
5.
of it for it, but to have a director's cut because I'm sure they put everything that was actually filmed into the film. But I mean, Shatner's not a horrible writer. I mean, he writes books, comics, and such, and gets paid for it.
But even one, the closest I have to get to hedging it is just saying it's really long and boring. but it's supposed to be long and boring.
Yeah.
It's like watching 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's what they modeled.
That's
it
what they
after.
modeled off
Yeah.
of. So a 3-hour
and
long.
it's a movie from a different era.
Yeah,
You
it's a-
can't judge it by today's run length expectations.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's super long and super boring,
Yep.
but it's supposed to be super long and boring, and so it is what it is. Like for what it wants to be, it's actually really good. And then 2, 4, and 6 are like flawless. Like everybody loves 2, 4, 6, and 3 I think it's fine. Like I don't feel the need to justify 3, but 5 I have to be like, okay, this movie's bad, but
It's got Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon. He's freaking amazing in there.
3's great. 3 is perfectly fine as just a fun action sci-fi film. It's just not 2 or 4.
Yeah.
Well, most more was just not 2. But 6 is the best of all of them.
Six.
I like 6 more than
really
2
enjoy
even.
6 a lot. 2 I like, and I really like the out of place, out of time 4.
Something I didn't realize
which
until
oddly
relatively
still
recently
works.
is that 2 and 6 were directed by the same guy.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Well, when I say recently, I mean like 15 years ago. But like
Sure. Considering what time when they came out.
yeah, like I was watching one time, like whoa, because I was watching like I was listening to the director's commentary of like 6 or whatever, and the director's like, yeah, and something I learned directing Star Trek 2. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Next Generation stuff was kind of fell down a little bit. I mean, Generations is okay. First Contact was okay.
I don't mind Insurrection that much, although the fun title is Star Trek Insufficient. But
Nemesis was not very good, but
Nemesis is just Wrath of Khan again.
correct. All right, we ended last week's podcast with a bunch of Star Wars talk, and this one we did a little Star Trek talk. So maybe next time we'll talk about Babylon 5.
Ooh, how about the elevator scene with Jakar and Lando? That's one of the best scenes like in anything ever.
Randall Calrissian?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
John Glover.
yeah. When Lando Calrissian and Donald Glover are in an elevator with Jakar, you don't remember that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Zappity. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bye.